Hello, my name is Yalin. I am from Turkey. I have been living in Czechia 17, 18 years. And what I am doing right now in Czech Republic is called fatherhood abroad, an expat, plus entrepreneur, and plus father. You know, it's like juggling every day. You know, it's difficult, but you know, once you get used to that, you are working like a machine every day. So in Turkey, I was a part of a global student organization called ISEC. So during ISEC times, I took a lot of leadership roles in my university and in Turkey as well. And then through that, the purpose of ISEC was to send students abroad for internship experience. After I finished my school, I decided to take this experience, have an internship experience abroad. So I was searching all around. And by chance, I got matched with a company in Czechia. That's how I decided to move to Czechia. At first, I was here only for a 3-month traineeship. So it looks like that I'm still here. Actually, I didn't have that big cultural differences, like cultural shocks, I would say. In the meantime, when the days started going, and then I started picking up a lot of small little cultural issues. But at the beginning, my first 3 days was so interesting for me, because on the third day that I woke up, I said, okay, now I got used to Prague. Now I can do whatever I want in Prague. It was so easy and so easy commute, easy to go somewhere, easy to meet with people. And therefore, it was so easy for me to integrate to Czechia from the very beginning. However, like the Czech culture and the Turkish culture are very different in terms of social life, business, and you know, like personal issues. If there will be like a global comparison chart, okay, Czechia will be at one hand and Turkey will be at the other hand in terms of the culture differences. The first thing is that I figure out is each time there's a wall which I have to go through, okay? Each time with each Czech person. So I have to break that wall so that we can easily start communicating. And it takes some time to break that wall for that person, okay? So this is the most difficult part. Once you somehow find the common ground to have a conversation together, then the easy part is starting. Yaya Agency was born out of one simple idea, which is that company expansion into a new country should be structured and organized and easy. So, and should be one-stop shopping for business expansion services. You know, the first company that I came here was a media agency, and with that company, which I worked for like 7-8 years, I established their offices first in Kiev, and then Istanbul, Moscow, and Munich. After opening offices and operation in these 4 or 5 different countries for 7-8 years, I realized that most of the companies expanding into new country are failing because they are not bad in what they are doing. They just don't know the local language, local business ethics, local regulations, and you have to deal with a lot of parties once you enter into a new country. And this is what I did in my previous business, okay? So therefore, Yaya Agency is actually my 7th or 8th company that I established, so it's not the first one. And then I decided to come with the idea that I will develop an expansion mechanism and machine which will allow other companies to expand into new countries easily and to have one-stop shopping services. So that's how the Yaya Agency idea came up with. First of all, Czechia, we don't position Czechia as only one market. We position it as a bridge between East and West, and also as a bridge between traditional and the innovation way. So therefore, most of the Turkish companies and the foreign companies which are expanding into Czechia, actually they are all expanding into whole EU market, okay? And this is like a very big win for them. And this is also the big win for the European Union itself. And then afterwards, Czechia is relatively easier and more affordable country compared with the Western Europe. So it's much more, for a foreign company, it's much more easier to get established here, to get the first level done of their business expansion, and then easily focusing on different kind of other EU countries from Czechia and positioning their local hub here. Every entrepreneur assumes that what they did in their home country is gonna work here. Okay, so they really don't justify themselves into the local market, like into Czechia. They think that whatever I did in Turkey or in Russia is gonna work also in Czechia, which usually doesn't. So this is our biggest issue, that we need to tell them, explain them how the processes should be in Czechia. So that's our biggest thing. And the second of all, as you just mentioned very clearly, that we need to train the company managers. Okay, so basically our role is not only to execute the task, but also to tell them how we are doing the expansion, what they are supposed to do, and what are the local regulations here, what are the local taxes here, and etc. So we need to tell them, and then we need to execute the task for them. And this is the most difficult part of this complex services, actually. It completely depends on their urgency. Sometimes people are just coming, okay, I want to expand to Czechia. So we do the first initial talks, and then sometimes they get back to you 1 month later. Oh, okay, now we are starting. Or sometimes, it just happens in one day, that everything is finished on one day. Here, it definitely depends on the urgency of the client and how they are motivated and how they are interested in expansion. And as we do those also expansion from Czechia to Turkey, for the Czech clients, this takes much more time. Okay, sometimes with the Turkish Mediterranean blood, they can just immediately activate and finish the whole expansion process in one day. The Czech companies which are expanding to Turkey are usually B2C clients, which, as Turkey is a big market, potential market with 80-90 million of the consumers. But the main industry between Czechia and Turkey, from Czechia to Turkey, is usually heavy machinery companies, like who are the subcontractors of developing companies of some power stations or different kind of big energy companies. Okay, from Turkey to Czechia is that they are usually like the main traditional industries are logistics companies expanding from Turkey to Czechia, automotive spare parts companies, machinery companies, defense or military equipment type of companies, and these are the main industries between Czechia and Turkey. What is the history of this country actually? Like all types of manufacturing, which they are very good at in designing it, in planning it, in making it work in the execution of any kind of manufacturing process, which I can say that the Czech companies are way better and way experienced than the Turkish companies in this respect. But however, the Turkish companies are very much motivated in getting new clients and in getting new successful businesses. Okay, and this is also very much related with, I think, with the Czech history. As it is coming from a socialistic background, the companies are a bit hesitant to get new clients, to do new businesses, to open new business lines. So this is usually their way, that they don't want to do that because they just are more interested in keeping what they have, rather than spending time and energy what they don't have. I think in 5-10 years, the biggest potential is, which nowadays is not existing, but I am sure that it will exist, the media business, like the movie broadcasting and movie shooting business between two countries, I think will develop a lot in the next years. And second of all, sports and events management business will develop a lot between these two countries. A lot of Turkish sports organizations will be coming to Czech Republic for competitions or for camps and vice versa. The other biggest potential is the health tourism, I would say, because Turkey is doing great recently in the health tourism, and I am sure that more Czech people, Eastern European people will be willing to go to Turkey for any type of their health issues. And the other biggest potential is, of course, construction. So Turkish big construction companies are doing great jobs in other continents, but not so far that much in Czechia because of different kind of reasons. So the construction industry has also, I think, huge potential in the next years. The other one is, I think, gastronomy and services businesses is the next potential ones. As you said, like real connections builds trust, okay? And then the trust builds the trade, and the trust builds the further cooperation. This is like a big issue for both sides, like the trust one, because we also see a lot of negative scenarios and negative stories that what happened between two companies and between two persons when the trust doesn't exist, okay? So therefore, that's why each long-term business relationship starts with a nice handshake, starts not only having the meetings, but also going out for a dinner or visiting your sites in your company or visiting your factory, okay? Inviting both sides. I also have a lot of Czech companies to go to Turkey. We did a lot of with them, let's say factory visits or road shows and etc. By doing these, then the trust comes. And of course, this takes time and energy, but once you do this, then in the long term, if you don't do big mistakes, if you keep that trust in the same level, then this long-term economical relationship continues forever.